good morning, although I guess it could be afternoon or even evening as you're watching this. But either way, thank you for tuning in this week. Really, like I said last week, we really appreciate you watching these videos. And let me get this out of the way here up front. Next week is our live Q&A. Any questions you have that have come up over the holidays, because I think our last Q&A was before the holidays, was before Christmas. Any question that has arose, send them in if you haven't already, because we look forward to it. We've been waiting for this. We've had to push it back a few weeks, but we really want to hear what you have to say and get some of your feedback so that we can help you and that we can help others through your questions. So last week we looked at trying softer. Right, we talked about rather than trying harder this year, let's try softer and let's put it in God's hands and just be consistent in walking out what He's placed on our life. This week, I told you we'd dig a little bit into it. You know, I'm not going to quite dig as much into it as I thought we were going to, but kind of peripherally, the idea of trying softer versus trying harder plays into what I want to talk about today. And that is the mental health pandemic issue that we are facing right now. Last week I was looking at Como News had posted a video and a story from, I believe it was actually their ABC national partners, talking about that we have an issue with our children in our schools and their mental health. Something like 55% of children who are struggling with their mental health are not receiving the help they need. Not because there isn't a desire to help them, but because there just simply isn't enough people, qualified professionals, to reach out and help them. There aren't enough programs to help these kids. We have kids that are dealing with suicidal thoughts as early as 5, 6, and 7 years old. We have, in this one state, I can't remember what state it was, 70% of kids polled said that they were dealing with depression and anxiety. These are numbers that are staggering. And I'm sure it pulls on your heart as it pulls on mine. As a parent, as someone who is in the counseling realm, as someone who also worked in the schools, it's something that I see those numbers and say we have to do something about it. But the problem is the issues right now are not going to be fixed overnight because we can't get enough people into the professional realms to step up and do the counseling. But I'm going to say something that might sound a little counterproductive coming from someone who is in the counseling realm. We don't need every single one of those individuals to be in a counseling office. Yeah, I said it. Many of these issues that are being seen are not issues that need to be addressed in the counseling office. They're issues that can and should be addressed in the home, in the community, in your neighborhood, in relationship. See, these kids are struggling because of what they see, what they experience at home, what they're experiencing and seeing at church, in their communities, in their neighborhoods. See, the amazing thing about children, God has designed us in a way that when we are kids, our brain processes things and takes it in and analyzes stuff at such a fast rate when we are young that as a young child, I think the numbers are that we learn like 80% of everything that we learn before we're 3 years old. Everything. I mean, that's how fast we're designed to process and take things in. So when kids look at the world around them, they take in the input. When they look at their parents, their grandparents, those in charge around them, they are learning how to operate and how to live by what they see. See, it's far more impactful to do as you see, not as you're told, right? As a parent, it's, well, I told you to do this. Well, yeah, you may have told me to do this, or you may have told them to do this, but what are you showing? Are we as Christians saying, trust in the Lord with all your heart, but meanwhile, we're holding on to everything ourselves? Are we telling our kids, try softer, allow God to work with you, allow God to walk with you, but meanwhile, in our own life, we're saying, oh no, I need to try harder, I need to do more, I need to make it happen, and we take it back? Are our words and our actions matching up? So this is where I want to kind of focus today. Are your actions and what you are portraying, first as a parent, if you're a parent, are your actions and your words matching up? Is what you're saying and what you're doing, are they the same thing? Because many of these kids are coming and dealing with anxiety or dealing with depression because they go home and they see their parents anxious. They see their parents depressed. They see their parents struggling. And so, because of the influence of their parents, they're struggling. Now, they can go and get help from their school counselor or some mental health professional, or we can go back to the root that's causing them to be anxious of the parent and deal with the anxiety of the parent. Because what you portray to those that you lead, to your kids, as a parent, I'm talking to parents right now specifically, what you portray to your kids, they are going to mirror back to you. Kids are great for that. Sometimes in the worst way. You'll say something stupid, and then they'll at the worst time, in public, parrot back what you said. I mean, a funny story on the side of this is that when me and Abby were dating, Abby made a comment to her sister about our first date, not thinking that Harry was listening. And then come the most embarrassing time for her when we're all in the car together, me and Abby and Harry and Evie, and Harry turns to me and says, Mom told Auntie this, and Abby turned bright red. That's an example of the fact that our kids are watching, your kids are watching what you do. They're taking the things in. So if you have kids that are dealing with anxiety and depression and suicide, where are they learning this? If they're struggling with how they are overcoming it, why? What are you demonstrating to help them overcome this? What tools are you giving them to help them overcome this? And this is where you as a parent, if you're dealing with these things, obviously, come in. We'll discuss this. If you can't come in, find someone that you can sit with, that you can talk with, that you can decompress, that you can get some encouragement. Now, this is also true if you are in a position of leadership. If you're a boss or a manager or something, and your people are dealing with on the job, they're struggling, what are you showing them? If they have super high anxiety on the job, what are you demonstrating to them as their boss? Are you demonstrating anxiety that's passed on to them? Insecurity that's passed on to them? Because those that you lead take their cues from you as well. This is why it's important for us to, on a personal level, deal with our own stuff. To find people that we can talk with, find people that can hold us accountable. Find situations in which, a couple weeks ago we talked about taking a break to reconnect, to let your body rest, taking RMDs, trying softer. These are all things that will help deal with these things so that you can lead better, whether it's your kids or in the workplace. So we need to create cultures that help others, cultures that bring peace, that point people back to Christ, that tries softer, that puts their faith in Christ and just walks. But that's going to take a while. So in the meantime, what do we do? How do you, as the layperson, help your neighbor or your kids or your friend or your coworker or even your boss? How do we do this? First step, be human. Just simply be a human being. See, God has created us to be in relationship. Everything happens in the context of relationship. You've heard me say this before. Just be you. Show empathy. You see someone struggling, don't condemn them. What is wrong with you? Don't come down on them. Show them empathy. Hey, what's going on? I notice, just be kind. And not just in the t-shirt statement kind of way. Seriously, just get down to where people are at. And in doing so, find a place of commonality. You can have people who are completely different, come from completely different backgrounds, but there's going to be a place of commonality. Find that commonality. Find that place where you can relate on a common level and build from there. As you build from commonality, comfort, encourage, engage from that common area. For men, sports is a great place to do this. Hey, did you watch the game last night? Hey, this player stinks. Hey, whatever. I noticed that you like golf. Hey, when's the last time you played golf? How's your golf game? Those kind of things. Find that place and build from there. Use those commonalities as places to where you can then speak life and truth into. Use those areas to be able to bring comfort. Because many times the first step in helping somebody is just knowing that someone cares. One of my favorite quotes is It's Teddy Roosevelt, different president, who said, "Nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care." People just want to know that someone cares about them. And if they know that you care enough to talk to them, to find a place of commonality, they're going to be more likely to then open up and share, hey, here's where I'm struggling. Here's how I need help. And you might not even need to do anything else. They might just be, okay, I'm okay with someone talked to me, someone saw me, and that's all I needed. Your life experience is a tool that God has given you to use to help and reach others. He's given you your life experience to help build relationship with others, to live in community with one another, to come together, to help heal. So take what God has given you, take those life experiences, take the things you've learned on these videos, and share them with others. Share them in the way you live your life. Encourage those to not try harder, but to try softer, to put their trust in the Lord. Get down on the level with those you're trying to reach. If you have someone who is down in the dumps, who's sitting in the mud and the muck, get down in the mud and muck with them. Not just sit there and stay there, but for the purpose of helping lift them back up. Jesus did this with Mary Magdalene, came down, got into the mud with her, but then lifted her up and pulled her out and helped clean her up. It started with him showing compassion. We can start to turn the tide of this mental health pandemic if we'll just start with first being compassionate, being empathetic, being willing to get down, take time to learn about who people are, to be empathetic with them, to listen and invest with them. You don't have to have some major education to make a difference in someone's mental health and in this pandemic. All you need to have is what God has placed in your in your realm. The things that God has already given you. You just have to be willing to use those tools that God's given you. So go out, be empathetic, be the hands and feet of Christ. Speak hope, speak truth, speak life. Share relationship with others. Go out this week and affect others' mental health for a positive way by just being yourself and showing empathy. God bless. I hope I hear from you next week as we have our mental health Q&A. God bless. See you next time.